All right, guys, thanks for coming out. We really appreciate you making it out this morning. I know Tails gets amazingly fun a little bit after 12 a.m., but you guys managed to make it here. My name is Michael Holliday. I am the co-founder and platform curator for Chocolate City's Best. And today we're going to have our panel discussion, branding up for yourselves. All right, so this conversation is for us to elevate our personal brands within the spirit industry, right, while fostering community, right? So we're going to talk about how to navigate that and some of the strategies that some of these key players in the industries have put together to accomplish that and be successful in doing so. I'm going to pose some questions. They're going to introduce themselves as I pose the questions to them. We're going to save about 15 minutes at the end of the panel so you guys can address whatever questions, concerns, or things that you want to share. Cool? Wonderful.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right, so the first question is going to go to Sullivan. All right, this question is about brand recognition. Sullivan, can you talk about the methods maintaining authenticity while promoting your diverse brand, but also how your personal values align with your brand?
So good morning, everybody. Before jumping in, let me just introduce myself quickly so you understand what it makes sense for my brand and the brand I'm working for. I've been in the hospitality for the last 18 years, kind of work every position on the front, like waiter, head waiter, floor manager, becoming bartender, and until I opened my own bar 10 years ago in Paris. I opened 2 bars in Paris, and I've been working with Duce for the last 5 years now. So when I was in London, I was about 20 years old. In Europe, you can start drinking before 21. And I might have started earlier than that.
Maybe.
And I had the opportunity to fall in love with cognac because I had an amazing cognac tasting. And that's when I came back to France and turned myself into a bartender. And because of that experience that I had with cognac, I kind of always push the category and make sure that every cocktail bar that I walked in had a cocktail with cognac on their menu because I was thinking that was an underrepresented category in cocktail bars. You have 15 tequilas and 60 whiskeys from different regions, and then you have one cognac brand because we believe that every cognac are the same, which is not true. So I had the idea in 2014 to open my first bar called the Syndicat in Paris, which is the first cocktail bar using only French alcohol. So cognac, Calvados, Armagnac, name them. And so I've been really advocating for cognac and for all the French spirits. So my brand is to be kind of expert in French alcohol. And my first love was cognac. And so when Duce came to me and asked me if I was interested to get this position as the global brand ambassador for Duce, I kind of jumped in because he was following what I was doing already in my career. Taking all those, what I was doing with Syndicat was that taking all those products that nobody used, because in France you say, but cognac, Armagnac, everybody will tell you that's a grandpa spirit, we don't drink it, so I brought it into modernity through cocktails, because that's how we drink today. And Duce is a brand, it's a recent brand, it's a cognac that was created in 2012, but in a facility, in a castle where we've been making cognac since 1795. So we use all this experience and knowledge into making cognac to create a cognac that fits the way we drink today, and that was completely aligning with what I was already doing with my bars. So that's how kind of it all worked together. And what was the other question?
No, I think you answered. Just talking about just how it aligns, and the whole thing is about how the brand, essentially you're saying you were already doing that. So
Yeah.
it just made sense.
Oh, actually, that's
Yeah, it just all evolved into like that.
That's why, as a brand ambassador, I do believe your brand has to be aligned with who you are. So that's why I've been doing this for 5 years. I had no idea one day in my life I'll be an ambassador, and I'm 5 years in. I'm wow, the time flew, and I still have years to give to Duce because we have more things to accomplish. So yeah, it has to be aligned with your thing. Thank you.
All right, Tiffanie, Barriere. I have a question for you. Can you talk about building long-term brand partnerships, focusing on your experience in the long-term partnerships and evolving those relationships over time?
Good morning. Tiffanie Barriere. Most of you all know me. Ooh, my mic sounds bad because I dropped it in water. But Where was I going? The Drinking Coach is my business. I ran. This sounds awful. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. To me, it sounds like I'm under the water.
One mic for.
Two mics. Oh, yes. Hey, that's me. Hey, Tiffanie Barriere, the drinking coach out of Atlanta, Georgia. I operated and ran One Flew South in the airport, busiest airport in the world, best bar in the world, under my tutelage. I've been in part of the Tales of the Cocktail family, the good, the bad, and the ugly part of it. It has been my gateway to relationships and networking since jump. Even when it's bad, I'm like, we're still going because we have to be there to be seen. Recognition has always been super important as a woman, as a queer woman, as a black woman, as a Southern woman. Brand connections for me is about consistency. I do have a superpower of personality. I do have a gift to gab. So seeing people in their face and reminding them that they saw me and following up and connecting and being very consistent has been my tactic and my strategy for partnership. My favorite compliment from a client is, "We'd like to have you back." Yes. That means we did it right. That's in our old bartending. It's like, do I like your drink? Yes. But do you want another drink? I'm working on the second part. So that comes in consistency. It comes in true engagement. And we kind of overuse the word authentic right now, but really just being who you are and see if it works. Do a little courting. Do we even like each other? And if we don't, that's okay. We still have to respect each other. So that's worked for me thus far.
I'm sorry. Isn't it crazy? I don't have a voice. Isn't it crazy that we think the word authentic is being overused? That is so wild. We're going to talk a little more about that, but like, damn.
All right, Kapri, while you have the mic, can you talk about building personal and community brand, like focusing on like balancing your personal and community brand development and like successful initiatives that you had strengthening the community as well?
Okay, I'm gonna whisper. No, hello, I'm Kapri Robinson. I am out of Washington, D.C. I bartend at Allegory. I also co-founded Chocolate City's Best with this wonderful man right here, Michael Holiday Jr., and a whole bunch of random other shit. I do want to say hi, Kiana. Congratulations on Catalyst. I love you so much. Okay, I would say building a personal brand and a brand for with brands was really hard. I didn't really know how to do it. I didn't know what to do. I came up in the career in a city that was really close knit. DC has a really pretty awesome industry group and community where you can kind of just talk to people. It doesn't have to be professional. It doesn't have to be anything. And they're in all levels. They're bartenders. They're bar managers. They're bar owners. They're brand people, right? So when I want to say specifically, I started reaching out to brands and doing things because of Chocolate City's Best in our first cocktail competition. And I just reached out to people that I liked, right? I was like, hey, I know you work for this brand and we're doing this, and can you do something for it, is what I said, right? Because I didn't know what the conversation was. I didn't know if I should be asking for money. I didn't know if I should be asking for the bar to pay for it. I didn't know anything. I just literally reached out and said, I want to do this. Can you do something back? And that's where my journey for trying to build relationships with brands started. And then as I started to go to things like Tales of the Cocktail, Camp Run Amok, and just journeying on and winning competitions and stuff like that is where I started to see, and Mike also just kept me on up, Kapri, you need to ask for this. So I'm like, okay. It was where I started to see how other people build and how they use the relationship. I would say for me, I don't like it to completely be transactional, and I'm not a transactional person, so that's been a very weird way to try to understand building, if that makes any sense. So I'm still learning that with some of these motherfuckers, you do need to be transactional as fuck. They don't. Yeah. And yes, is that answering the question?
No, for sure. Definitely. No, it's definitely evolves over time. Like you said in the beginning, just asking friends hey, what can you do? You work at Kapri, can we get a couple of bottles to throw this event? And now we're making pitch decks and things of that nature. I'd say that it's been a lot of observation, right? So when we go to Camp Run Amok or we come to Tails and like, yo, how do they get so much money to do this? Like, how do they, like, who's funding this? And just start asking the right questions, right? Don't be shy. Like, just go up to like, yo, so how did you get Kapri to give you $20,000 to do this, right? They'll tell you. They will tell you. And if they don't, just keep asking. Just keep digging. Someone will tell you, right? And just grow from there. And also relationships, right? Just keep, when you see someone, it's very important that you build those relationships and invite them to your community and let them know who you are and you're supposed to be here and what you plan on doing for this industry. So everyone wants to be a part of growth and positivity, so that's something that most brands will get aboard on. Phelix, question for you. Can you talk about leveraging your personal and community identity, focusing on balancing your personal identity with brand values, and also impacting the impact of identity-focused branding on your personal and professional success?
Yes, of course. Hello, good morning. I'm Phelix. This is not my last name, Etienne. They spelled it wrong, but it's okay. But no, I got started in the service industry in 2019. I had been experiencing a lot of discrimination at my job. I was working in a corporate place, and I decided that in that moment, instead of like being mad, I wanted to do something that changed that. So I quit the day that I was like experiencing like a little too much trauma, and I went straight to the library and I like Googled how to start an LLC, and I started LLC Cute Bar, and basically Cute Bar is bridging the gap between the cool and the conscious, and it's about creating sustainable communities within the hospitality industry and finding a way to connect the neighborhood bar to the actual neighborhood. So I really wanted to create a safe space where everybody could be themselves in this industry. And as a Black woman of trans experience, I feel like I should be at the forefront of those conversations because there's not enough people that look like me and have my experiences in these spaces. So I have to leverage that in every interaction that I have in this industry because I know the benefit that my existence brings to a brand just from them associating to me, whether or not that is an authentic, that's the buzzword for today, an authentic interaction. So what I really try to do is hold those brands to the fire and make sure that, you know, the things that they're saying, like they basically have to walk it like they talk it when they come into partnership with me. And that does get me in trouble sometimes because I do keep a firm grip on it. But, you know, it's very important that we create those boundaries between ourselves and the community and these brands.
Great.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yes, my friend. So right now you're having a super simple cocktail, and so with Duce, I'm always trying to kind of like push like opening the mind on how cognac can be used in cocktail. So here, something classic with the cognac is cognac and tonic, but here we have Duce, tonic, and Patron Cafe. So it's like a coffee tonic and Duce. Cheers, my friend. Enjoy it. It's refreshing. It's a bit bitter. It's nice coffee. So that's for the morning. That's your morning coffee, yeah? Cheers, my friend.
It's really good. Love it.
How tasty is that? Mm-hmm. Right? It's delicious. You know what you say? It's delicious. I'm working on that, yo.
All right, Kapri, we're going to go back to you. We're going to talk about networking and skill development. Can you talk about the best practice for building and maintaining professional networks within a community? Also, navigating community events, maximizing network opportunities, and the importance of personal and professional growth within the community.
Okay, I'm gonna try to work backwards. Importance of, say it again. I'm so sorry, say it again.
Also, importance of personal and professional growth within community development.
Well, growth is always important, right? You want to be better. I hope you do. You want to be your better self. You want to always keep leveling up. Growth is also connected to education. So I would say, like we were talking about earlier, learning, observing, asking the questions of what you need to know is a part of growing and being, and I think that's very important also. And there's 3 questions in there, so I'm trying to like answer them all. But what I think the question is really gathering together is how it connects to community and how you use brand connection to kind of uplift community a bit. Shakacy's Best is what I could talk about. I'm always going to talk about Shakacy's Best. It was a way to build and fill in a gap that I saw, right? And we made sure to let brands know that we are doing a thing that you need to support, you need to be here for, especially, I would say, going back to 2020. 2020 was the year that we were online, and we pushed heavily online presences. And that was the year that brands started to notice our organization and notice me and notice Mike, right? So it was the year for seeing what brands do for community, right? It was like, oh, okay, are you real? Do you want people to still drink your shit? I'm sorry, but type of thing. Like, then support this. Show that you're changing. Show that you're having the hard conversations, which is also part of growth, right? Very important. Growth is having hard conversations. So we were having those hard conversations and having brands support them online, giving, sending out bottles to people to drink with us online and doing lives. And that was a part of a connection activity, or a connection building, that we did. And I think that if you're trying to do something for a community or with a community and trying to get that representation or support with brands and stuff like that, you have to show why. And I think maybe you don't. That's part of my mind about transactionalness. I think you have to show why. Show why we need to, this is a mutual beneficial thing, right? Yes?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
So when I first met you, Sully, it was at Tails, and I was just talking it up, chopping it up with you. I was trying to get you to take more shots, right, with me, late night at Tails. And I didn't know you, and I was just a guy with a cool fro, and I was like, oh, this guy seems cool. You know what I'm saying? He's a brother, I'm a brother, we here in Tails, let's have fun. He's like, all right, I can't take too many, I gotta get up and run. But this is all before I knew you were the Duce brand ambassador, right? So it was just like authentic, yo, you're a cool guy, let's talk about it. So with that being said, can you talk more about how you continue to your best practice to maintaining and building these professional networks, especially being from another country, coming to the U.S. and just gaining so much traction so quickly?
So I think we're gonna get into again that buzzword, authenticity. I think I love that connection that we had. For me, I guess the reason why I decided to drop university and get into hospitality is because I think I had this fiber, connecting with people and hosting people and taking care of people, and I think I'm a people guy, and so that makes a lot of sense for me to keep doing this, because I think that's my mission on earth. I'm here to connect with people and to make sure that they are all happy. Are you guys happy?
Yeah.
So the thing is, I've been myself from day one. If you know my friend who I grew up in the dog pound in Créteil in France, they will tell you still never change, because I think that's who I am, and that's how I connect with people, because you guys can feel that I'm authentic, and you're like, okay, I fuck with that guy because he's really doesn't give me any bullshit or anything. Mm-hmm. So for anybody that know me from before, for 2, 3, 5, 10 years ago, I'm the same guy. And I think authenticity is the reason why, the way that people really connect with each other. So please always stay authentic, because people that you will meet your real you, and then they will decide if they want to go with you or not. But at least they won't be a wall or anything that they need to discover. Oh no, that person was supposed to be cool, but actually she's not cool at all. Or he's not cool. So just always be yourself. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes people don't agree with you. But authenticity is the key.
And I think authenticity is more genuineness, genuality, right? Who you are, right? Literally something that's not an effort to be, right? Like I said, it sucks that authenticity is a fucking kind of being a little fake. But genuine. Don't try so hard to do the connection.
And to be back on that, again, for my role and what I'm doing with Ducé, it's important because that's how I can maintain and keep on developing my network. Because like I'm good with Mike, we like connected at a certain level, so he's going to introduce me to more people, and those more people I would be always authentic to those people, and they will introduce me to more. That's how I kind of grow my own network and basically grow my brand. I mean, I'm really good with Ducé and I still have years to give, but I know that when I will leave Ducé, if I do one day, I will always be able to nurture my network, because I've had something like before Ducé, I was like traveling the world with my bars, and I created my network kind of like everywhere, and I keep on like harvesting this network. I'm happy to be in the US because I get to discover you guys. I'm spending like five years in the US. I love my life. I love you guys, and I love like to keep on growing those connections. So yeah, that authenticity will lead to the great relationship, because that's how people will go. It's like, okay, I go with your energy. I don't. Then that's the relationship, and then you move on to somebody else. That's it.
Yeah, so speaking about, authenticity and morals and values, Tiffanie, can you talk about ethical considerations with brand partnerships?
Morning.
Dealing with ethical dilemmas and brand collaborations, also the importance of choosing brands that align with your ethical standards.
That's a work in progress, because there's still so much to do. I know we're saying authenticity so much today, so let's keep saying it. I want to make sure that you understand that authenticity doesn't mean ass-kissing or being overly kind. We still need to be ourselves. That doesn't mean be assertive. It just means be direct. And if we know this from when we were kids. It's not what you say, it's how you say it, because that's truly what you get. So we'll put a little pin in that. Connections with brands. How I work with them.
Yeah, the importance of choosing a brand that aligns with your morals and values?
I'm a hunter. It's really tough. This became a real job, yesterday, right? This bartending thing. It just became a real job. It's a black job. It's a service job, service industry in general. So service being taken seriously is still a struggle. I think it's gonna be a struggle for centuries. That give and take in serving, especially when we're serving alcohol. It's gonna be looked at as still very taboo. It's growing in small spaces, but it's still a very kind of place to be. And here I am wanting to do it in a very unethical, unorthodox way. I'm independent. I do spirit and cocktail education. I'm a personality on camera. I speak Black and queer, positivity in spaces, and I'm a good time. But I have to have a brand that wants to do that too, because I have to learn that all money isn't good money. But I'm broke, so I'm like, well, what is really good money? So I have to be very, very very intentional about what this looks like. And because we are in a digital world, let's talk about social. If a brand wants to reach out to me or you and say, hey, I got a couple hundred or a couple thousand, would you take a picture with my bottle? I want that money, sure. But let's think about your audience. This is cross-marketing. So you want to use me, intellectual property, and you want me to use myself for your brand. We have to take a step back and think, okay, wait a minute. I do need this money, but how does it make me look? This may not look authentic. It wouldn't look so good if I had a brand that doesn't have core values, or has shit people in the office, or is racist, or has, really whack power. I'm not gonna go into gender equality right now, but you have to take a step back as we're trying to teach the consumer about how to taste things and love things and where it's made. The same thing goes in the production in the office and how it cross-connects with you. So branding yourself, you're already a brand, but how do you get bigger is what you continue to add to your authenticity by having brands that make you bigger and better. I work with brands that make me look good, because their story is my story. Or if it's not, then we can work our way in there. So that's it's another layer to the conversation and the entry level of when that email comes in and you're like, oh shit, I'm gonna do this post, I'm gonna do this cocktail. They want me to throw these drinks off, and then you gotta be like, wait. Because we can do that really easy. We're bartenders, we can pivot. Give me a spirit, let's make it. But where is it gonna go? Our cocktail is our canvas. It has to go somewhere, it has to make sense not only for the brand, but for you. So to answer the question again, I have to be very aware that even though I may not have all the money in my pocket, I have to have it in my soul and in my own brand, my own community, so I don't say yes to everything. It's hard, super hard. I'm broke, did I mention that? I don't look like it, but I ain't got it. However, I say that to say that we want to work for what works for us, and it starts to be very constant, and then the brands start to walk up to you. I'll use my example. People now know to walk to me and say, it's probably not going to work for Tiff. And I'm like, pow, you got it. That's not going to work for me. And for the larger brands, it's the same thing. They're going to think to themselves, because they're in the office watching us. They're watching our social. They're watching how we move. They're watching the events they want to hire. And they're looking like, this person would be good to represent my brand. And then your question is, do you represent my brand? Which is yourself.
I want to follow up with you, Sully. Being the brand, what is it about other communities that you find to align with? How do you select what partnerships you are interested in making equitable in a community?
The cool thing is like I'm the first ambassador, like full ambassador for Duce. And so when I joined 5 years ago, they were still trying to figure out what would this role entail. So that helped me to kind of like make my own way and decide like what I believe would be good for the brand. So if I was feeling whatever events or whatever partnership I could bring to the table, I was always going to the brands, like fighting, okay, I think this is the right move for Duce because that's gonna open more exposure, more awareness for the brand. So I've been always like kind of like trying to be the filter in between you and the brand. You come with a great idea, it goes with the brand identity, I bring it to the brand and we chop it up. You can, like everybody has ideas, but if the idea doesn't relate to the brand identity, I have to just like stop it because that's I'm the buffer in between. So I'm the one who kind of like bring it up. So please, if you have ideas, share it. I won't say that I'll say yes to everybody, but if you have ideas, please come and we'll see what we can do with Duce.
Great. Phelix, so we're talking about working with brands. I want to hear your voice on advocacy and equity and inclusion. When brands want to advocate, when brands today talk about inclusion, or they want to be inclusive, what does that look like for you? Also, can you talk about the inclusive practices on a personal brand success level?
Yes. So for me, as a Black woman, my life has always been a protest. And as a trans woman, my life has always been in danger. So because of knowing that, I have to maneuver in a way that is always uplifting myself and my experiences because it's a trickle-down effect that will open a door and create other opportunities for other people to be safe in these spaces. So the way that I do that, outside of this, I am a social practice artist and community organizer. So I really do walk the way that I speak, and I really am about connecting those threads in these communities. So all of my events, they go to, my first event was a mental health support group for people like us in the service industry. We're usually off on Mondays. We would meet bi-weekly every other Monday, and we would come together, and we would like just be in community literally together and just know that we like can be a voice for each other. We don't have to go through all these problems alone, suffer in silence. So I think it's very important for us to be those changes, be those spaces, and the brands will have no choice but to follow suit and to kind of like follow our lead. We are like the faces of the brand, so to speak. Like if we don't want to serve their product, they don't make money. You know what I mean? So we have that kind of power. That's our power, is to like tell them this is what the people want to see. And now I position that to where all my events go towards anti-gentrification, our housing justice work. I've been doing that since 2020, and it's very important to me. Like I want to continue to build spaces that, like I said, not only take the neighborhood bar, but like put it back into the neighborhood. So what's the next part of the question? I'm sorry.
You're doing fine. Yeah.
I just want to make sure I'm staying on track.
The importance of the impact of inclusive practices on a personal and brand success.
Yeah, so like again, like I said, like it just makes sense for me because that's the life that I live as an advocate, that I only align myself with brands that also uplift communities that I feel like are the buzzword of the day, authentic to my experiences. And that is sometimes tricky because a lot of people do things for show. A lot of people, like Kapri said, did stuff in 2020 that support doesn't look the same now, but those problems still exist. Those people still exist, and those issues still need to be addressed. So it's like, how do we hold them accountable when they are the ones at the end of the day that cut the check, that sign the check? And we just have to really be firm in what we want to see this industry evolve into. Like I said, like looking around this room, I can count on one hand how many people look like me, and that's an issue. You know what I mean? Like, we have to create spaces for people to feel comfortable here, and not only feel comfortable, but feel like they could grow. Like, the reason why I wanted to leave my job was I was the hardest worker there, but I had to realize they didn't see the hard work in me translating to success or growth. I was stagnant there, and that's not a position that I want to feel in, because being stagnant, anything that doesn't grow is dead. You get what I'm saying? So we have to continue to grow. This industry is a tree. We are a part of that tree. And, you know, some people play different parts on the tree. Some people are the roots of the tree. Some people are the branches on the tree. Some people are the leaves. But we still in that tree to provide us with shade and oxygen. You know what I mean? Like, this is how the earth flows.
So, yes. You're welcome.
So you said a lot of great things there. I love the meetup focused on like mental health, right? That goes into let's just self-care, but also I believe like harm prevention, right? Taking care of one another and checking in on one another. A lot of times in our industry, we're lacking like harm prevention or ways to create safe spaces, and people look at us as advocates for black and brown and inclusion and equity and those things. But when someone's harmed and they come to you and you don't have the answers, like, you can't fake that, you know? You can't use them as like guinea pigs to find a solution. I learned that from Phelix. So I do want to have that hard conversation, harm prevention. And were there times that you were harmed in the industry? What can we do to find or seek measures for more harm prevention in our industry? How can we find solutions to that?
Listen to me.
It's to everyone, but I would love to start with you, Phelix.
Well, yes, I know when we had our call, I was like very unsure if I could answer this question, because I've experienced a lot of harm in this industry, and I don't feel like there were spaces for me to go to feel protected. And I tried to find those spaces, and it wasn't that people didn't care or didn't want to support me. They just didn't really know how. Like, what does that look like? How do we advocate for you without costing ourselves opportunities as well? So I think, you know, that is a conversation that we need to be intentional about having, about how do we protect ourselves and who do hold these brands accountable. Like, having more money than us does not equal having more like right to be, you know what I mean? And we had to really like figure out that balance between like, this is what the world looks like and this is what you need to look like when you put yourself in these spaces. Like, at the end of the day, a spirit brand is community service. We are putting a product into the community, and how do we want the community to interact with our product, and how do we want to interact with the people who are putting our product in front of the community? So yeah, I don't really have an answer to what that looks like now, but what it could look like is spaces, like I said, meetups and, you know, education. People need to understand their rights. People need to understand, like, if you are being harmed, there are places you can go to speak to people. There are people that can help you advocate for yourself. I feel very isolated, very alone through my experiences, and that was really tough for me because I'm a very confident, tough girl, but like, to feel like I can't act the way that I want to act because there's going to be this narrative created about me that I'm angry or I'm hard to work with, and that you shouldn't work with me because she's going to hold you accountable, and I should. You should. You know what I mean? So we have to create spaces where that's okay, because that should be the normalized thing. We should all be held accountable when we do things wrong, and we should all know how to make that better, make that right, and make that whole in the community, for sure.
Tiffany?
I'm in awe, Phelix, right now. We don't get a chance to see humans like this in the room enough. And it's just really nice to sit next to you and hear you speak, honestly. There's a point of view. I think of our eyes like our palette. What we taste is personal, and our eyes are the same. It's all the perspective. And we're speaking, obviously, from our own background, our culture, our gender, our orientation. But we see it differently because that's all we can see. And you see us differently. And right now, we don't ever want it to feel like an attack, or it is a call of action. But I think first things first is an awareness that I don't see it the way they see it. And that sometimes makes them silence because maybe you feel awkward. Yes, I'm talking to everyone in the room that's not black. And I'm not coming for it. I'm just saying it's a different perspective because we have things, as Phelix just mentioned, I wake up as a black trans person, and it's like, that's the armor before I walk out the door. As a black woman, I walk out that way. As a man, like, we all walk out with with who we are, but I don't know if everybody's walking out the door with armor. Think about that. Some of us are really walking out the door with like, I could be attacked today by the smallest things just because of who you are, and they don't know who you are. So there's an awareness in your own communities, your jobs, your families. It could even be you. It could be your friends. That's when it gets real close, when you find out that even someone in your own space doesn't have that awareness. So it's really just leaning into the right now, paying attention, being educated, and working on how to speak to someone if you don't know what it is. No more assumptions, no more maybes, no more clickies, but just ask, like, dude, I don't even know what this is. I don't understand pronouns. I don't understand Southern jargon. I don't understand what Sully's saying when he gets in his hype about his French background. I love the way he speaks. But I'm saying that to say that there's a way to approach it so that we can work towards people not feeling harmed. For years, I'd come here and I definitely didn't feel like this was my room. Never did. This year, sometimes I didn't want to feel it either. Tokenism was a real big thing. But now I know if I'm going to be in this room, then I'm going to be approachable so you can come to me and figure out who I am. And I'm also going to present something to you so I can figure out who you are so we can understand it. It's a lot of healing that needs to happen, a whole lot of healing out of assumptions. So we're not feeling harmed or intimidated or scared. We have to just be in the room and get the feelers, really get the feelers out and take the judgment away. And that takes time. It takes real shit too.
I feel like when I hear this question or thinking about the topic, I think about how we're not only just talking about liquor brands, but also where you work is also a brand too, right? And that in all the things, we need to normalize no. And understand that no is an answer, no is a thing, no is a reason. Let's talk about what's coming out, though, before I keep going. What are we drinking?
This is Felix's.
Oh, yes. This is my cocktail. It's called Bananas in Pajamas. So I'm West Indian. Plantain is like really big where I'm from. So I wanted to do something fun and fresh. It's the summertime, so I'm here, the island girl. So I just wanted to like give you a little tropical something, moist and fresh for your palate. Moist is my word of the day. Yes. Y'all can have a authentic. Moist is my word of the day. This is plantain, this is rum, and it is a little surprise. Oh. I want you to taste it first. I want you to be like, oh, what, you put those together? And everyone say, at once. I'll just play it.
Yeah.
Cheers, eh?
Cheers. Cheers to the room. I think I was talking about normalizing no. And I do not know the answer to this question because it's a working solution, right? I think that I put myself to be a bridge and a gap for a community, for sure. And when it comes to harm prevention, it's something I'm learning how to navigate because so many people come to me looking for a solution. It is sucks that we have to do this. It's definitely about the armor that you walk out with. But when you don't, some people don't know that a certain type of armor is necessary. And I would love to know how to tell them which pieces of armor to put on in terms of speaking and growing in this industry. So I think what it looks like in the future is making people feel confident to be who they are wherever they are, right? In certain aspects, but also making the brands understand that everybody's not gonna fucking mold to what the fuck you want them to look like. You know, some brands talk to you and they want to work with you, but only in the context of what they are. And it's never a back and forth of, okay, well, you do this really great, we do this really great. How does this look like in a harmonious situation, if that makes any sense? So I would say that's what I think the conversations moving forward in terms of making sure that we're being less harmed, because I feel like sometimes also misunderstanding is just always going to cause a little bit of static and hurt. But being able to have that conversation back and forth with whoever you're having or trying to build a relationship with is huge. And that moving forward, those conversations have more patience and openness in them, I think.
All right, when we talk about putting on armor, there's another like financial armor when you talk about. Because a lot of times you work with brands, and like Kapri said in the beginning, we were happy to get those bottles to throw the pop-up, and then in exchange we give the photos to the brands or the videos to the brands. And then we realized, wait a minute, you guys are getting a little bit more than we are receiving. This is not like a mutual beneficial situation. Kapri said, like, I'm always pushing, like, no, we need to get more, because I know we're worth more. I know we're bringing more value than we're receiving. But a lot of times to get that, you have to know how to play the game, right? You got to know you need a lawyer, right? You got to set yourself up as a business. So to Tiffanie, I ask, tell me about the ups and downs, trials and tribulations, and where you are now when it comes to dealing with the brands and the paperwork.
Kapri has opened up the water gates. This has just became a real job. There's no blueprint for the work that I do. It's really not a blueprint, you know, a pamphlet. Outside of when you leave the bar, you go to brand ambassadorship or I don't know where else we're going. I just want to stay in the industry. So for me, it's been a lot of trial and error, a whole lot of trial and error of understanding what contracts look like, what an ask is, what intellectual property means, what creating a menu looks like, what can I just get a cocktail looks like. Because for so long as a bartender, I'm a yes person. Sure, you got it. Not really taking account that me just throwing a summer cocktail on the menu was my creation. Now, sure, we're tweaking cocktails all day long. I'm not creating anything brand new. It's just the ingredients in the product that I'm using. Not pricing myself or pricing yourselves or just accepting what's offered has been a humongous learning curve. I learned I dropped out of college, but I went for marketing. And I remember the first few weeks of school, we were told, you can never price yourself. Because if you could price yourself, I'm $1 billion fucking dollars right now. But that doesn't make sense to be logical, you know? And so really understanding a lot of trial and error of what it costs to have a living, you know, pricing yourself, what's comfortable for you. Perhaps a cocktail is your cell phone bill recipe. Maybe your menu is 3 months rent. Maybe a speaking engagement is a trip for your mom. Maybe, you know, kind of think, I mean, I'm not trying to give you, these are some things that I've thought about because I'm like, I gotta pay the bills. Maybe it's a hobby and a habit. Maybe you want to get your lashes done and you're like, this is my lash money for this brand right here. But really trying to figure out pricing is really hard. I'm reached out a lot on Tiffanie, can you help me with the pricing sheet? I cannot do that because I'm different than you. But what we can do is hold the brands accountable for the minimum, the very minimum. That's where we start. I will not work for less than blank. And hear me out, friends. Do not work for less than your rent. I don't know where you live. I don't know how much it is. It could be obnoxious to you, but the brand can afford to pay your rent for who you are. Right quick. I promise that it can. I mean, unless you're sitting in this big condo that I need to visit, then otherwise, a $3,000 job, a recipe, an advertisement, a speaking engagement, flying somewhere, I think a 3K is a sweet spot. And if you don't think that that is enough for you, pick your head up. It's totally worth it. It's a comfort spot. It's a sweet spot. It's a sweet spot. Start your marketing that way. Start your pricing sheet like that. They'll never have a pricing sheet, but I will tell you that brands, this is not coming for brands, but marketing budgets, they have a pricing sheet. And then we negotiate. We go high so we can work it out, right? And you'd be surprised. You may throw a number out there and they're like, okay, great. So next steps, and you're like, oh shit, we did it. We did it. But it won't happen if you don't do it. If you keep being like, I'm not sure if because I can't inject in you how much your value is, but they won't recognize that this is a real job unless we make it a real job. A real one, like a real job. It has to look real on paper. Do never talk about, I'm gonna hold this for a second, and don't talk about your prices and your budget verbally. Don't do that. Hey, I wanna do you're in my face, I'm just looking at you. I want a cocktail recipe, I've been dying to work with you. What are your prices? And you freeze. Fuck. My rent, $1,500. You're sold into the number. That's a verbal agreement. We're not on paper, and they just won. Versus you saying, stand by, I'm gonna get your email. I want to email because we gotta get a paper trail. Things have to become legal to make it a real job. It has to be tight. We have to see that. We have to build that. Even if you don't know what the fuck you're doing, just say, I will email you, or have somebody else email you, or have ChatGPT email them. Work it out. Those helpful tools are there to say, I don't know how to price myself. Give me some verbiage, or ask a friend. Shoot that email. Make it feel professional. Make it feel professional. We can be casual and cool outside, but on paper, we have to look serious. We have to make it a real job so they go, okay, they're not playing. Okay, she's not playing. He's not playing. They're not playing. And then it calculates. Suddenly, it's in the office. We see it. Then the pitch deck comes. You're like, oh my God, we're really doing it's like a project, because your business and who you are is a project. It's not just about the money, it's about how much we're gonna get to make it a real job. And then once we get there, it happens. Now, when it gets into larger contracts, I ask for contracts just because I work a whole lot in spaces and I wanna feel safe. Because I'll jump on a plane in a heartbeat and I'm like, bye, that was great, I got a free trip, give me my swag, I'm out. But the swag doesn't pay my bills, so we have to get a contract. What do we do with the contract? We can chat about that on the sidebar. I'm going to share some information also. But lawyer.com, law.com, really standard contracts, even if it's just one page, they're helpful. I'm again going to talk about the tool ChatGPT because it is there and we're a little funky about it. But if you put in there, I need a contract for copy paste this email, it'll be something standard. You email that to yourself, we're copywritten. We're on paper now. And if it feels a little convoluted, a little extra, you don't know what you're doing then we start reaching out to an actual lawyer. Contract lawyers, they exist. Beverage contract lawyers, they don't exist. We're literally creating it right now. Chefs have them. Why don't beverage folks have them? Let's talk to the back of the house. Let's talk to the owner of the restaurant. Ask for the help. Say, hey, dude, we don't even have a blueprint. Beverage professionals, pour stars, we don't exist in real life. Yeah, you like that? I did, yeah. Pour stars. Thank you. I did patent that one too. But in this way, I'm just saying that because I am in the space right now. I don't have a blueprint. So I'm just creating it as we walk. So being able to share what I'm going through to make it comfortable for you is literally just to know this doesn't exist. Contract comes, what does that mean? But you do work for people who have lawyers or friends or family, and that smartphone that you have on what to do. Don't give up. It's not discouraging. You've got to learn and figure it out and then shoot that back to the brand. You can even ask the brand, I don't have a contract, send me yours. Or can you help me with this? And they can even open a whole new department on this at one point. But anyhow, contracts and money is very tough. We've been taking tips for a very long time. We're not looked at as a respectful space, but we have to create it as a respectful space. They think that we're drunks and we gallivant for a living, and we do. However, we do have bills as drunks and gallivanters. And we have lifestyles, and we have journeys and dreams and children and dogs, and so we have to utilize it. And as kind as we don't want to say it's not transactional, it's transactional. You got to get paid. And you can say that in whatever tone you want to, but if you don't know how to, you just say it. Yes?
I love so much of what you're saying, and I was late, so I wanted to ask you, would you take it a step further and unpack when you go to talk the price and they back away? And so you've got to negotiate a little bit, but you also want to remain in your value and the integrity of, like, have you had to walk away?
All the time, every day. I play tennis every day, every day. I don't say yes a lot. Yes, I definitely throw out a number. We are amongst friends and family, so I am quite popular in the spirit world. I'm asked all the time to partner. Let me partner with you. And I'm like, ooh, what does this look like? And the budget may not be there, or the alignment may not be there, and then we have to kind of go there. Or the money is like really big, but we don't match. And I'm like, I don't know. It's got to be a no here. So we negotiate it out. Negotiating is something that's been quite fun for me. Negotiating to me is the maturity in the beverage world. When we're at the bar, we don't negotiate too much. Do you want it or no? Yes or no? Like, yeah. Next. But when we're sitting at a desk or an email comes in, you really slow the brain down to have that conversation and negotiate. I negotiate a lot, and I negotiate for friends a lot. But adding the biggest part of the negotiation is knowing the value. That's where it gets really tough for me and any of my friends or anyone that asks for my help. It's the value of it, because sometimes we think we're not worth it, or we just need it right now. I'll take it right now. I'll just do this one right now. And it's addicting to just take it right now. But it's very, very detrimental for us to just take a job versus letting them know the importance of the cross network of, without me, you can't have this. The presence. The presence is super important, in the value and the authenticity of it all. So yeah, it's a lot of negotiating. It's really tough. But please, but it's fight.
Yes. One thing I learned that you kind of like sparked it in my mind is like you being firm in your boundaries about payment doesn't mean being rigid. You get what I'm saying? You need to be very limber and abstract in the way that you think about what that payment can look like. And I've had to do that multiple times. Like, it's not the original ask as far as monetary value, but I position it where, like, well, can you do X, Y, Z for these future events that I want to do, these future, like, community initiatives that I want to build or support? So you kind of leverage it as an ongoing partnership as opposed to this one-off interaction, which sometimes could be more beneficial in the long run. So just kind of be mindful to the ways you can reposition how you're presenting your offer to them.
So we are now opening it up for questions. Any other questions, guys? Yes, you.
This is by far the most valuable panel I've been on. I'm a journalist, and I started Latino Industry Night in Philadelphia, and I'm in the same position as you guys, where it's gotten to a point that it needs to scale, so I'm actively doing a media kit, looking for sponsors. I'm curious, as I'm developing the contract, what are your absolute do's and must includes, like what you must include in the contract that doesn't work well for you guys?
No clue. I wrote my first contract this year, ever. And it was for a consulting gig. And I opened up Google Docs, and they had a contract template. And it had a lot of stuff in it. And I was like, oh, and I had to Google words that were on it. I was like, oh, what is this? But I filled it out with what I thought I was doing and my ask and what the other partners need to do and their ask. And then I sent it to people that write contracts. And I was like, how does this look? And they were like, you need to add this and this. I wish I could pull up my text messages. I could send it to you and stuff like that. She probably knows better. Law.com probably tell you too. But like, one thing for sure was specifically what you're doing, right? Don't leave any openness for it to be interpreted that you're also going to possibly do something you didn't write down. Write that down. Things to protect your brand if something goes wrong, and protect yourself if something goes wrong. You got to make sure that's in the contract of like anything. Termination. If you want to terminate the contract, or if they want to terminate the contract, how does that look? Compensation, of course, has to be in there, right? How long the relationship is supposed to be, I think is very important. Gotta put that in there also. Off the top of my head, that was the things that I think.
Yeah, same. And the contract is for, a contract is to get what you want, to get what they want. Another cocktail. Yes! Hey. Good morning. Look at these beautiful drinks. Thanks, Cabs. The contract is obviously a commitment, but the contract also is stating what the client wants and you are wanting to give. So a few things to what Kapri said, obviously termination. If I get sick or if I don't want to do it, what happens, you know? Or if they get sick, thank you so much. Compensation, that part, just not compensation, but super valuable. When is it coming? What's the net? Because you're like, I did it, and then you're like, oh my God, my check's not coming for the next 4 months. So compensation and time, super valuable. Licensing, if it's gonna be a cocktail or you're writing, where is it going? How many other outlets is it going? And how long will it be used? Obviously, we're writing for documentation so it can be in the ethos forever, but knowing where it's gonna land and how far is super valuable to add into your contract as well.
Does Mike want to talk about the cocktail? This is beautiful.
Yes, this is a cocktail made by, who made this? This Lavelle, yeah, Lavelle. So it's a salted buttered popcorn fat wash rum.
Wow.
Yeah, with a little bit.
I hope it's as good.
Yeah. A little bit of citrus, a little bit of gram masala on top. Yeah.
Also, y'all, I misspoke. Well, I lied. It wasn't rum in mine. It was vodka. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. It was great. It was great, Goose. I'm sorry.
We have a question down there.
All right, question. I'm going to actually start with this lady right here.
Full disclosure, I am a retired attorney and I am not giving legal advice. But I tell you that if you're trying to operate or run a business or be appropriately compensated, I think it's worth your time to find an attorney and pay. You can pay a flat fee. You don't have to have a long-term contract with an attorney to get a draft so that you know what you should include or the types of terms that you would like to include in these contracts. The unfortunate thing that I have seen is that people try to wing it. You can go to law.com. The reality of it is that the laws in different states are different. Right. And so it's not one size fits all. Wherever you are, you probably want to just set up a consultation. And oftentimes, if you just call the bar association, the local bar association, you can get a first consultation for free.
I'm sorry, what?
So call the bar association, tell them that you need to get you're trying to find an attorney for whatever, and you can get a free consultation. Now, it may only be 30 minutes, but it's 30 minutes where you've learned something that you don't know already and that may be beneficial to you. And you can get a consultation. You know, you don't want to go talk to 30 attorneys, but you can kind of look around and see whether or not you trust, because it's a gut, you know, not all lawyers are great like me. But not all lawyers are going to be ethical, and so you have to make sure that your gut reaction is that they're on the up and up with you. But I say, you know what, if you want to be a business, don't play at it, be at it. So you want to have an accountant, you want to deal with your tax issues, you want to make sure that you are, you know, if you want to do an incorporation or if you want to limit liability, you want to make sure that you're doing those things, because not only does it protect you, but it also protects your brand.
That's right. And what's your name?
I'm Gwen.
Miss Gwen said don't play with it. Yeah.
We actually asked her to be here.
Any questions? You got a question back? I'll come back to you, Ken.
I just wanted to provide a possible solution. I own a mobile bartending company, and I use a CRM called HoneyBook. It's extremely helpful when it comes to sending out contracts. It's an automated system, so once you plug in your own information, you make one contract one time. It creates a template. It does automatic deters from like moving forward. Also, if the payment is separate from the contract, it's hard to keep track of everything in the pipeline, of what's what needs to be done, what hasn't been done. So HoneyBook provides a pipeline where you can see what files were sent to what client, if you need to follow up, if they paid, if they made a deposit, if they owe, what day the project is. It gives you a calendar so you can pull up and see everything that's going on for the whole year, month by month. So it's called HoneyBook, and if anyone wants a discount code, I have one.
So I do want to say, right, as we're talking about building the business and stuff like that, we're bartenders, and no one talks to us about these types of things, right? That's why these conversations are super important. I would say personally, business talk, it scares me. Like I feel like frozen looking at certain things like that, right? Unless someone is sitting with me and like, okay, now you need to do this, now you need to do that. So I'm very happy and I'm thankful for both of you for saying those things, because I just learned something about how to be better about being at my business. But like for those that might be like me in the crowd, go to someone that can help you, walk you through these types of things so you can be serious. And then have somebody with you in whatever business you're building that's going to help you keep up at it, like Mike does for me.
One more plug. Thank you, HoneyBook. On it.
Right?
We're on it.
That was great.
And discount code, please.
Oh, yes.
If everybody's taking notes as well, I want to share my Squire's information. It's Q&H Consulting. She's a contract lawyer. She's out of DC. I discovered her through our good friend AJ. When we met, I was similar to Kapri. I was, as you heard my story, I was making things up, winging it, flying by the seat of my pants, and had a conversation with someone who was very educated in the space and said, let me read it for you, let me speak for you. It brought strength to the business, but it also just brought comfort for me that I'd be taken care of. So Q&H Consulting, I'll be hosting a webinar on it next month. I'll be follow my stories, I'll share. But the education is, I'm glad you just said that, because it's very vulnerable to say that. We don't have a business mindset sometimes. We are just ready to go and give and do without knowing what that looks like. So this has been very helpful on all ends, but Q&H Consulting as well. Question? That's right.
Hi. This question is for all five of you, if you can do it, without using the word,
Offensive.
in that word, how do each of you as brands work with brands? How do you not get caught up in the glitz, the glamour, the light? How do you do that on a personal level?
For me personally, like I go into every idea concept with my 3 pillars, and my 3 pillars are queer owned, femme forward, black powered. That's my identity. And if any brand is not like in alignment with those 3 things, then it's not worth my time. And I have to really dig deep, because some people do have faces of ambassadors that claim to be about those things, and their work doesn't represent that. So I also look at their track record too. So really it's just about like me being firm and knowing who I am and who my brand is, and the world that I want to create with my brand, the space that I want people to come to. This is another thing too. I think we have to be very mindful to the way we speak about spaces. We do not create spaces for anyone. All the space already exists. We can curate the space and make the space safe for the people we want to be there, but we cannot create it, so therefore we cannot keep people out of it.
The drops. FaceTime for me. I love to see you in real life, in real person. FaceTime is important. I know we have emails and we have business to do, but I'm all about not grabbing coffee because I don't like coffee, but I want to see you, whether it's on the phone, whether it's a Zoom, whether I just need to see you so we can communicate right there in the eyes. That connects for me and hopefully for the client, so we can see each other 10 toes down and then build from there. It saves me from being mixed into the mix. I want to see you so I can feel it and make it work. It's my connection.
Well, for me, my situation is quite particular because you have your own brands, and that's what you are going through. I have my own brand, but I'm also really tied to Duce because that was the connection that I've been with the brand. So I would say like 5 years ago. I mean, like it took me like a year and a half to kind of like get a ball with Duce to make sure that we're on the same level. I went to Cognac, I met with the seller master, I understood the whole identity of the brand, and then I decided to move forward. So then after we did all the paperwork, the visa and all of that. So it's quite different for me. So there's nothing that I expect from the brand in terms of, we're not using that word. It's just that it happened to be the right brand for me at the right moment because of what I've been doing before that. So yeah, that's about me. But you are special because like this is your brand that you put out. I work with a brand
But
already.
You are a brand.
I am no, for sure. I am my brand, but I'm linked to that brand. I'm tied with Duce.
Yes.
But because we have like we go, I mean like if it would never happen, I believe. But if at one moment I don't agree with the direction that Duce is taking, I guess that's been my way out in a way because like as long as we are the same vision and we're going to the same direction, we're on board. We're in the same car. But then I can take an exit if I don't feel the identity of the brand is good with me. So yes, so I will always be with my brand. If it doesn't go with my brand, my personal brand, then. But I have a lot of hard discussion with Duce, because I know like my brand is important and there's things that I do, things that we want to do, and like when they tell me like let's do, what do you think about that situation? I'm like, I get it, but it's not me. So maybe we can find a way to kind of like support that things without me being involved because that's not my value.
Back to you. I'm still trying to wrap my head around the question. Can you ask me again?
Without using the word authenticity or authentic, how do you as a brand work with brands without losing yourself in the glitz, the glamour, the shimmer, the shine, the shit, the giggles, all that? I just added that part.
All the shits and the giggles. I want to say that in my journey, a lot of my working with brands, brands do reach out, but the ones that I do and have a relationship with, I've reached out. If that makes any sense, I've been the one to go ask, and I feel like in that process, I already know what I am looking for from the interaction. So I think that it's definitely about what Phelix already said, staying firm about what you want out of whatever the interaction is supposed to be with the brand. I have a hard time saying no, for sure. Like, I have a hard time. Your pillars just blew my mind, I'm not gonna lie. Like, these are things that I never thought about, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I know what I feel in the gut, but I've never put it to words. So I'm talking about how I'm like learning from this question also. So it's hard to answer, which all panels are about, which we talked about. Yeah, that's how I can answer that.
We got time for like one or two more questions.
All five.
I just want to make sure we get the question. Oh, all right.
Get you.
Okay. When working with brands, I think about like my community and my legacy, right? So I don't want to do anything that I look back on or my kids will see that doesn't truly represent who I am. So I know we're not supposed to say the word authentic, but I've done a lot of work to walk into a room and try to be truly myself and not really bend or fold. So I want to like stand for that, and if anything else, I want my grandkids to be able to look back and see that their grandfather like was a solid person. You know what I mean? Like he really looked out for community, and everything he did aligned with that.
Grandpa Holiday.
Yeah.
I think the key word is alignment.
Yeah. Alignment. There you go. We got two more questions. Right here.
Tiffanie said a word that I've been thinking about a lot recently, and I think it's something I'd like to hear you guys talk about more. Tokenism, and where identity and building your brand shifts from representation into tokenism. How do you manage that? How do you mitigate that? And how do you identify it?
Yeah, that's a great question.
That's great.
That's fantastic. I don't know if I can speak for everybody on that, but yes, tokenism is a very thin line there. But my aha moment was, of course, I wasn't in rooms that were looking like me or speaking like me or from where I'm from. But then I had a moment of, am I checking the boxes? And then I was like, I am checking the boxes. And owning that I'm checking the boxes. When you are the minority or you are a few other things, we're checking a lot of boxes. And that's a good thing, because if not, everything will stay beige. So really appreciating the fact that you may have been tokenized in the beginning, but going, oh, actually, we got this. I am all of the things that they're looking for, and taking that and putting a price tag on it or putting some visibility on it. I think it's definitely where we are right now for everyone. These brands, they need it. And so when it happens, yes, it is a bit, sometimes it feels performative, but when you own it, like, yeah, okay, I may be the first of blank to do this for you, know that you are the one or the first or the beginning of what's to come. So just kind of not blurring the word, but standing in what it all stands for.
For me also with that, it's like you notice it, you see it, and then in terms of relationship and longevity with the relationship of a brand, you are now the one that's holding open the door, right? If you see, okay, shit, I'm the only one in this bitch. Guess what? I bring my friends. Like, y'all wanna go to? Do you wanna do this with me? And then all of a sudden, we got some hood ass niggas in the room. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't, I'm so sorry. But it's true. It's true. Okay. I got some friends. I apologize, Mike. I'm sorry for that. Glad it was at the end. We'll but that is what's happening, right? I'm showing a world to both sides, right? I'm showing a world to my friends, and I'm showing a world to the brands. And you kick that door open, and be not only the first, but also the bridge.
Yeah. Authentic. Truly her authentic self.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure yeah.
Right.
Pretty sure.
Also, I think it's important to know, like, tokenization is like exploitation, and we can exploit these brands to our benefit as well. So just kind of be like, keeping that in the back of your mind too, is how can you pivot that to be used to your advantage, for sure. Because I know the value that I bring being in a space with a brand attached to it. Like, I check a lot of boxes on the diversity game card, so I like to leverage that to my benefit, to where we're both mutual. I call it quid pro quo. One hand washes the other.
We got time for one more question.
Quiproquo. That's French.
No, it's not.
Latin based, I would say. Is it Swiss? Is it Swiss?
That being said, I did have a question.
I know, we're all.
And I guess my question is, like, I know some of you personally, but I know of all of you. And that's because you guys all have your own brand, and at some point you put yourself out there and you decided, that's me, that's my brand, and it's what I'm aiming for. Now you're on that stage, and we're not. And I'm saying that because sometimes, and I know I have that a lot, that imposter syndrome, that it's not good enough, or what will people think, or how will that work? And like, even asking that question, I had that voice was like, will people care about whether or not that question is impactful? But I guess for me the real question is, at what point, and maybe what was the tilting point when you quiet that own little voice that you have, and how do you do it when it tries to come back?
That's a really good question. I appreciate that question, honestly, because I think I've experienced imposter syndrome for the first time, like going through this trauma that I experienced last year in this industry, and it made me really like think, am I supposed to be in this space? Like, are they ready for a person like me? And it was really like, yeah, they don't have a choice. You know what I mean? Like, if I don't, what they say, if you build it, they will come. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I don't do it, I cannot wait and hope that there's another person like me that's ready to take on this responsibility and run through that door. I just have to run through that door and know that there's going to be other girls like me, other guys like me that want to be in this space and don't know what that could look like. So you create your own space, or curate your own space, and you just demand that, like, kind of like respect and time confident with yourself. It's not even about what other people think. It's about like when you look in that mirror, me every morning, I'm a bad bitch. I'm gonna get it. You understand? So like you just gotta go forward with that, just knowing like you're put here for a purpose. Like the divine creator makes no mistakes. You're in this room for a reason. You're receiving these messages for a reason. So you just change your mindset. It's always gonna be scary. Somebody last year told me that I didn't deserve to be at Tails at all. This year I'm here speaking to you. You understand? So you don't listen to what people tell you. You stay firm in why you was put on this earth and the mission you was out to like fulfill.
I see Sandra back there, and I remember like big up to Sandra Lawrence from Cocktail Lovers. Yo. And I love that question because it reminds me of an interview that we did together like, 10 years ago or something like that. And I think I'm lucky because I had the switch when I was like 19, when I was in uni, and I was like, that's not what I want to do, like sitting in front of a computer. That's when I'm a people guy, and I need to be in front of people and connect with people. And I think that's been the moment that I kind of like understood that I had the control of my life and I could decide what I want to do. And I decided at this age that I wanted to do that, and I've been like moving forward and I keep on doing like the door was closed, I opened the door. And remember like this discussion we had, like you were asking me like, did my color hold me back? I was like, no, fuck, the door is in front of me, I open the door and I take the people with me behind. So I think I've been fortunate, but also I've been like consistent in being confident about what I want to do and where I want to go. And so far I'm just like, I'm happy that I had that switch when I was 19. Some people will wait that switch and that switch is going to happen at 50 years old. It's fine as long as you have it. So I think like that's how I kind of like decided to start my own brand and like keep on like moving forward and being able to be honest. What do you say? Thank you. But that being said, Sam, we'd be happy to have you on stage if you want to come up. Yeah?
Imposter syndrome is the enemy. I don't know what you believe in, what you're rooted in. That thought is not real. You belong everywhere you're supposed to be. I have it often. It hits me here and there where I'm like, But then I realize that unconventional, unorthodox, and things out of the parameter are really the win. You know, that's kind of, it's comfortable out there. It's more fun out there. And so when the thought does come, when you asked the question, you said, what do you do when it comes back? You realize that it's only one you. There isn't. I mean, there was only one you. For your brothers and sisters, uncles and family, they look like you, they act like you, the bloodline's there, but it's only one you. So you have to be that vessel of what you do. If it doesn't feel right that day, go to sleep. Start it all over again. It's not gonna rain every day. It hits like what the fuck is going on, because we're creatives. We're working it out, we're hustling. We know each other. So I say that to say like it's gonna come, and when it does, just don't let it take over. Sit in the emotion, but then be like, okay, we're done. You had that feeling, but now I have a job to do, because it's just one you, and whatever sits on that heart, act on it. That's not just coming from a big loving space, but we all have the moment of like, am I doing it right as a parent, as a business owner, or what have you, but not too long. It's a make-believe emotion. Even the word to me it's a make-believe. It's not a syndrome.
Just want to thank all the panelists for coming out, right? And thank yourselves as well. Get a round of applause for everyone. And thank Tales of the Cocktail, Free Pour, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your tales. Thank you again, guys. Cheers.
Thank you.
I am very sorry, guys.
It's on record.